Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. If you're new to the channel, thanks for tuning in, and if you're not, thanks for returning. I appreciate it. Before I start talking about the magnificence that is Elvis on Tour, I thought I'd just draw your attention to the t-shirt that I pulled out to put on for this one, because I thought the images on this period correct, 1972 Elvis on Tour. But why I thought I'd mention it is it just goes to show this is official product, officially licensed by EPE. And look at the care and attention that went into this. You've got two pictures from Elvis on Tour. You've got the banner from the International Hotel, which by the time of Elvis on Tour in 72, it wasn't the International, it was the Hilton. And then at the bottom, Las Vegas 1970, which clearly it isn't. So there's the quality of the control that goes on with licensed product. I don't know. What can you do? Elvis on Tour. On the posters, it said a very different motion picture, and it was a very different motion picture to that's the way it is from just 2 years previously. That's the way it is, focused on the rehearsals and the production that led into the Vegas season in summer 70. This is about Elvis out on the road. Touring. Features 4 main shows that were recorded, but you also get some vintage footage cut in there, Elvis on the Ed Sullivan Show, etc., which apparently Tom Parker was completely resistant against because he didn't want it to seem like a nostalgia exercise, but he was overruled in the end. And you also get some voiceover in the background, Elvis talking a little bit about his career, and it is a little bit, because he was recorded in much greater detail, and if you even on YouTube, if you search for that, you should be able to find much longer interviews of him talking about a little bit more personally about his career and his frustrations and etc. etc. So they obviously they had limited time, so they used what they could, but yeah, they're quite revealing, those series of conversations that the producers had with Elvis, and you do hear some of that in the film itself. Significant, the little tidbit that you probably are aware of, Martin Scorsese, no less, was the editor on the montage footage that appears in the movie, and it was a Golden Globe winner, got a Golden Globe in 73 for Best Documentary, so that was a great achievement. Okay, so the film itself, only one way to see it as far as I'm concerned, Blu-ray, and this is the rather swanky Digibook special edition Blu-ray, nice embossed writing. You've got sort of a almost rainbow effect appearing when it hits the light. So lovely little package there. This was actually on the cover, so it says experience Elvis live in high def picture and sound, featuring 25 musical numbers plus 40 pages of photos, costumes, set list, trivia and more. That was the little hype sticker that sat on front of the package, and then that's the leaflet that sat on the actual back itself. And then, as we were at the time, 2010, this is the little booklet that came inside it, plugging various things that were upcoming and current at the time. And then with the Blu-ray itself, you don't really get much in the way of extras, but I'm not entirely sure if you get any, to be honest. No, you don't. But you do get this little booklet. It's a little bit basic, but sort of adds to the package. So yeah, nice little release this. Unfortunately, as pretty much all of you will be aware, the version of Elvis on Tour that's contained in these releases for the last however many years isn't the release that was originally in the cinemas, because it should open with Johnny B. Good in the background, doesn't have Johnny Be Good because apparently they haven't been able to secure the rights of the Chuck Berry song. So in recent prints of it, it's replaced with Don't Be Cruel. So it's a shame because it's not how it originally was, but what are they going to do really if they can't get the rights? So yeah, to me, that's the best way to, by far the best way to watch it. You can get a standard Blu-ray release, but it's quite a nice little package, that one. 2023, we got the box set that caused quite a bit of controversy at the time, not least because it didn't actually make it for the 50th anniversary. It eventually sort of found its way out in January the following year, which was a shame. All sorts of little bits and pieces have been picked up on with this. Ronnie Tutt, Elvis's drummer, isn't even listed in the credits, which is a little bit of a bizarre mistake. But still, you know, yeah, these things should be picked up on and they should be done better. But it's still I still think it's a fantastic little set. It's got its problems, yes, but hey, it's, you know. So what do we get? What do we get? Well, you get all 4 concerts. You get a load of rehearsal recordings, and you actually do get the Blu-ray disc itself that's included on the separate release. You get the Blu-ray as well. So you get, let's have a look. Fantastic little booklet. Despite its clunkers and omissions, you know, in terms of design, it is very nicely put together. You know, it's a fantastic document of the movie itself. It's just a shame that there's the Golden Globe. It's just a shame that at some of the quality control, you almost think, you know, there's enough fans out there, let's face it, that are into the sort of details and the minutiae and all the various bits and pieces of Elvis's career, that I almost think the official companies should have, you know, a couple of those on board that check these things and say, no, that's not quite right. No, you've missed that out. Surely they could do that, because there's plenty of people out there that could give them chapter and verse and make sure that things were accurate. Let me know in the comments what you think. But, I mean, as I say, layout and put together, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So, here's what you get for your books. You get Disc 1, Coliseum, Hampton Roads, April 9th. Disc 2, Coliseum, Richmond, April 10th. You get Disc 3, Coliseum, Greensboro, April 14th. And then Disc 4, you get Convention Centre, San Antonio, April 18th. So you get all the 4 shows that made up the movie. Then Disc 5, you get rehearsals at RCA Studio Hollywood, and that was like he almost did a mock session for the cameras, so it looks like he's you know, recording tracks as if he's in a studio, but it was a bit of a mock-up. So they are rehearsals, but they also rolled the camera and you see him doing Always on My Mind in separate ways. And then Disc 6, rehearsals at RCA Studios Hollywood, March 31st. And then you get your Blu-ray disc as well. So where do they, I can't remember where they put the Blu-ray. I think they slot it. So this is those are your 4 concerts. And your discs in there. So that's nicely put together. And then I believe this one so disc 5 and 6 on there, and then there's a little in there with the Blu-ray discing, which I say is exactly the same Blu-ray, which is disappointing to some people. I think some of us were hoping for some some extra footage. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, but a really, really nice little package, good sound quality, you know, one-stop shop for an official release, easy to pick up. Cannot go wrong, really. So there's your sound and there's your vision from an official point of view. So I'm just going to, in this episode, look at a couple of the books that feature Elvis on Tour. And I thought I'd start with this one. Now this is we get a bit of a double whammy here. And when you know, yes, it's a very different kind of movie. Yes, it's a very different feel to That's the Way It Is. But actually it's a very different Elvis, I think. And in some ways, not in a good way, if you see what I mean. Because I think some of the footage where he's sitting in the back of cars and you see him hurtling off stage, exhausted, I think he's started to look a little bit pale and tired, and there's a couple of shots where you see him really sort of staring away into the far distance pensively. But I don't think, you know, I think it feels to me like it's already starting to take its toll on him, this punishing schedule, whereas, you know, he looks super healthy and relaxed in That's the Way It Is. And I'm not detracting from Elvis on Tour. Elvis on Tour is fantastic, but I think you start seeing signs that the punishing schedule started to take a toll on him. But anyway, this is a Joe Tunzi book, Elvis the Documentaries, and it does what it says on the tin. It features both of the documentaries in detail. I'm not going to spend too long looking at That's the Way It Is, because I think we did that in some detail before. But yeah, this is a nice little representation gathering together both of the documentary movies. So yeah, we move quite swiftly actually into Elvis on Tour. The only thing I would say about this one is very flimsy. Even for a softback, it feels a bit like a magazine. The covers are really thin. It seems like a bit of a picky thing to say, but yeah, it's a nice little book. This one can still be picked up, and for a record of both documentaries together, definitely recommended. But yeah, you can hopefully you can hear from that. It's very, very magazine-like, this one. I don't know if there's a cardboard shortage for the cover. There we go. So, and then you get some bits and pieces of details, production details and what have you. Track listing of performances, and yeah, nice. So you got that one, Elvis the Documentaries, but up in the ante a little bit for Elvis on Tour and Joe Tunzi, we've got a separate volume, Elvis on Tour, and this really is nice. If you can get hold of this one, it's well worth having. I've seen it come up from time to time, so it should be within the realms of possibility to get hold of a copy. But yeah, really nicely put together, very reminiscent in its layout of the previous Tunzi book on Lost Tour in '71, the 71 by Request. Layout's very similar, but beautiful photo record of Elvis on Tour. Love the red Burning Love jumpsuit. It's such a shame that wasn't worn more often. I think it looks great. Elvis, that's rather rude. Reminds me of that photograph of Johnny Cash where he's flipping the bird. just packed. I love the layout of that one. It's almost like that 70 Dagmar book that pulled out black and white photograph and then coloured the scarf red. Yeah, this is really nice, this one. And then we get a little section here on some of the footage, the black and white footage that's cut into the documentary itself. And then for some reason we're at the Madison Square Garden press conference. Motion pictures. Okay. So yeah, it's a nice little sweep of everything, that all the sort of component parts that went up to make the Elvis On Tour documentary. This. So yeah, very nice. And it is squeaking nicely as well. Lovely book. There you go. Elvis On Tour, Joe Tunzi. Now, next episode I'm going to focus on 2 big volumes and the FTD Elvis in Person 1970, Elvis Now 1972. But before that came out, we had this. And it's a while since I've had one of these whacking great volumes to lift up. But this is Eric Lawrenson, Elvis On Tour. And this actually did make it out during the 50th anniversary year. I know that the official FTD version had already been announced or rumoured to be in production, but this got to market first and caused a little bit of bad blood, I think, between Eric Lawrenson and Ernst Jorgensen, because I think some of the production notes and bits and pieces that are featured in here were shared by Ernst Jorgensen to Eric Lawrenson. This is the story I recall at the time. But Ernst Jorgensen was intending to use it in the FTD books. I think he'd said that they weren't for publication or something along those lines, but they ended up in here, and I think there was a bit of argy-bargy went on actually. So right, here we go, 3 whacking volumes. Let's start with volume 1. So what are you getting here? I think this retailed, and you can still pick this up for about the £199 mark. So you get 3 volumes. Your first volume is April 1972. So this focuses on the spring tour itself. And you know, it is jam-packed with stuff. You know, it is a really, really nice record. So what we get in here are the sort of shots, I think, taken in Elvis's dressing room in Vegas, if I remember rightly, where he was kind of trying on some of the new jumpsuits that he would be unveiling throughout that year and on that first tour. So you get a run through of the suits, the jumpsuits that were worn to start this book off. It gives you some details on them. And what else do we get? So See what I mean? Those are the sort of shots that is not the Elvis that was in That's the Way It Is. He's definitely feeling the strain of the touring, I'd say. There's him, and see this. I think it was all these bits and pieces and production notes and things from the vaults and things that caused a bit of a friction between Eric Lawrenson and Ernst Jorgensen. But yeah, it's a nicely put together volume, no doubt about it. Or 3 volumes, should I say. Okay, let's spin forward a little bit. That's that bit I was talking about, I'm sure you're all familiar with, where he's sort of pensive and gathering his thoughts, looking off into the near distance. Wonder what was going on in his head then, what he was thinking. Yeah, all this handwritten stuff. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of this was slated to appear in the FTD volume, and I don't know if that's why the FTD volume ended up not being called Elvis On Tour, being called what now in person 72. That's the only thing with the Eric Lawrenson books. You get, I mean, I guess, yeah. I guess they're doing what I did in my first episode of 72 and looking at the releases that actually came out. But I don't know how pertinent they are to a volume on Elvis On Tour, to be honest. Not much, you might say. But yeah, let's skip forward a bit. Got 3 volumes to show you. You get the idea though. Nice photo book, some nice information and details surrounding that particular tour in April 72. Good stuff. So that's volume 1, April 1972. Then volume 2 is also April 1972. I thought we were going to get something different for a title there, but no. Also April 1972. Packed full of pictures, this one. Ultimately, these are, I'd say, definitely more photo journals than they are sort of text heavy. Not that there's not any text in them, but primarily, as you can see, they are pretty much photo books. And very heavy they are too, very heavy indeed. That was me saying that Tunsey book was a bit flimsy. At least it was easy to pick up. Pick up and show, I think. That's often the challenge, to be able to lift it up and get it so you can see what's what. Great stuff. When I pull out the FTD in the next episode, I think what that will show is the contrast between the two is although that they're packed with photographs, there's definitely more, there's a bit more to the FTD. This is primarily, as I say, photo books. Not that that's a bad thing. And then our final volume, June and November 72. So this is sweeping a bit further, because this, again, nothing to, what's this to do with Elvis on tour? We're at Madison Square Garden, press conference. So we got Madison Square Garden, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with showing Madison Square Garden, but this is a this purports to be around the movie Elvis on Tour, and volume 3 is past Elvis on Tour. And you know, I don't want that to sound churlish, because, you know, I can't get enough of my Elvis, as you've probably noticed by now. But it's just kind of it almost feels sometimes like it's the book version of clickbait. You know, this isn't Elvis on Tour, we're in Madison Square Garden. And we're past that. So, to me, this could have been a volume on its own, maybe. You know, just called Elvis 72 or whatever, and you could have had a 2-volume set of Elvis on Tour, because this has got absolutely nothing to do with the movie Elvis on Tour. Because this is June the 20th, Tulsa, Oklahoma, November the 8th, Lubbock, Texas. You know, most of this would have been covered in Lawrenson's own Elvis files. So, I know I often say this with Eric Lawrenson's books, but they sometimes lack a bit of focus. You know, like That's the Way It Is, that was 5 volumes and could have just been finished at 3, and this could have been an on-tour book for 2 volumes. And this volume, not I'm saying this volume shouldn't exist, because it's a lovely volume, but it shouldn't be in a 3-box set on Elvis on Tour, unless that's the idea, is it's Elvis on tour, you know, not the movie but touring. Fair enough, you know, but it's not about the movie. Good as it is, this could have been a 2-volume, in my opinion. Especially when you consider, you know, the box makes a thing of showing the Golden Globe on it, so it's definitely setting its stall out that this is about the movie Elvis on Tour, but the remit gets a little bit lost. But still good, still worth having in the collection, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'd still recommend it. It's pricey, but it's a nice addition, but could have done with a little bit of a sharper focus for me. Right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope that was enjoyable in some way. If you haven't already, if you could do all the good stuff like, share, comment, subscribe and all that, anything to help the channel out, much appreciated. Next time we'll finish off Elvis on Tour and look at the 2 big volumes, one the bootleg from Amiga and the other one the official FTD set. Right, till then, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. God bless you. Adios.